topics in sports entertainment.
Pro wrestling talk from the four corners of parts unknown. This is That Wrestling Podcast.
Shit's about to hit the fan.
Welcome to That Wrestling Podcast. It is a TWP extra. It is the Double or Nothing reaction video slash podcast. It is Jason. This was Brian's idea, but he couldn't do it. I wonder if that had something to do with the Celtics making the NBA Finals. You know, the pay-per-view ended about a half an hour ago, and I feel bad for those who were on the East Coast who it ended at 12:45. Now, for me, it ended at 9:45. I know that it's a holiday weekend, and a lot of people don't have to work, but I really feel like if it's going to be a pay-per-view with 14 matches, this really should have been a Saturday show. There was no UFC. There was no Game 7 to combat with. You know, it came out this week that Tony Khan had a dinner with Dana White and was talking about how WWE booked against the UFC on July 2nd for Money in the Bank, and Money in the Bank now has moved to Grand Garden Arena at the MGM. You know, and Tony Khan, man, Khan man, didn't mean it like that. It just, I just wonder, you know, like, dude, you could have done this on a Saturday. Now, I know it's Vegas, and the people that are getting out of there at 10 o'clock in Vegas, you know, you're just getting in the shower to go out on a Friday, Saturday, or even Sunday, every night in Vegas. But the pay-per-view itself, 14 matches. And we're going to go over a couple of them. We're not going to get into all of them. We are going to talk about matches that just should have been cut from the the pay-per-view. Now, this podcast is completely as is. No edits, no cuts. You heard the intro music at the beginning. You're going to hear the outro music at the end. And that is all the production that is going to happen for this podcast. Now, of course, the big story coming into the event was MJF no-showed the Fan Fest yesterday. And then there was a report that a plane ticket was purchased for him. Now, look, I've given Sean Ross Sapp a lot of shit on this podcast about spoilers and ruining stories that should have been surprises and appearances, mainly the CM Punk one. However, I can't say that he was wrong, because I'm sure he did his diligence to find out about that plane ticket. But I tweeted, MJF hates meet and greets. There's a picture I did with I met him on the Jericho cruise. He was a scheduled meet and greet. And the things he did to people, he spit in some dude's coffee. There was a kid that had a title belt, and he said, "Oh, let me see that title belt." And then he threw it across the room. For me, I was wearing a Cody Rhodes shirt, and he gave me the finger. You can go to my socials and check out the picture there at Chewy Lewis 76 on Twitter. And it's not a surprise. And to me, it's not a story that he no-showed a meet and greet. The story would have been if he no-showed the pay-per-view. Now, of course, that didn't happen. He did the little airplane movement, you know, when he was in the ring. I thought that was kind of funny. But he was there. He did what he was going to do. Most likely, this is what was always going to happen. Wardlow was going to kick his ass, I believe, 10 power bombs, and Wardlow is now all elite. Max got stretchered out. I just got off the phone with my friend Doc on the East Coast, and he thought maybe the stretcher was a symbol that we're not going to see him for a while, which, you know what, it makes sense. Take Max off TV for a while. Let the people think, oh no, is he in trouble for no showing a meet and greet? You know, it was really funny on Twitter, the outrage. People paid their hard-earned money to meet Max, and he just no-showed. Well, the people that paid had the option to meet someone else or get a refund. A guy came at me on Twitter because I said, people didn't lose anything. You know, it's this mentality that just because you pay for something, you should get it. Yeah, I'm sure there are some very disappointed people that didn't get to meet MJF and get flipped off or made fun of, and maybe they get off on that kind of kink. But the fact of the matter is, you didn't lose anything. You got your money back, or you got to meet someone else. So a guy came at me, and then when he said, well, they lost their flight money and their gas money. And I'm like, bro, they were coming for the event on Sunday. The Fan Fest was just bonus. And then the guy who had like a cartoon spaceship as his avatar blocked me. Told you, no edits, no cuts. You should check out C4 Energy. The Skittles brand is my favorite, not an ad. So then we had the Young Bucks and the Hardys. Now, I have to go back and watch this because my mom actually called, and my mom's on the East Coast, and that was around 8 o'clock her time, right around 5 o'clock our time. So I didn't get to watch it all, but I love the Elvis-inspired Super Kick Party theme. I have no problems with the Hardys winning. I also would have had no problem with the Young Bucks winning, but I do want to go back and watch that one again. Now, the third match was a match that I feel like could have been cut from the pay-per-view. I am going to talk about a few of these that should have just went away. And the first one is Jade Cargill against Anna Jay. I've talked about her on this podcast before, that she can't wrestle in live moments. She's not ready yet. So she needs to be on Rampage because it's pre-recorded most nights. But Jade Cargill did win, which then led to some shenanigans and debuting. Stokely Hathaway showed up, formerly Malcolm Bivens of NXT, and Athena, formerly Ember Moon. Now, I wish Hathaway is the answer to fixing Jade. Smart Mark Sterling, I'm a fan of his. He wasn't the answer. It just didn't work. Now you put Hathaway with Jade and the other girls. It works, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Stokely Hathaway can do with Jade. And Athena, Ember Moon, it'll be cool. We'll see what happens next. I thought it would have been even cooler if Athena would have joined up with Jade and the baddies, but I feel like that match should have been cut from the pay-per-view. My favorite match of the night, House of Black and Death Triangle. Everything was perfect about this match, but for me, I wish it would have just ended regularly. No shenanigans, no lights out, no Julia Hart joining the House of Black. I get it. It should have been her turning on the Varsity Blondes during a match. Now, we've had teases of it. Overall, though, it just, to me, it ruined a great match. It went from an A+ match that made it an A match. The men's Owen Hart final, Samoa Joe and Adam Cole, was awesome. Loved everything about Adam Cole, which kind of, gave away what was going to happen in the women's match. Britt Baker getting played out by Rich Ward of Fozzy, Ruby Soho getting Rancid to play a whole song entrance. It was awesome. I loved every bit of it, and I have no problem with Britt winning. I thought the presentation was a little weird. Martha Hart and her interesting hat. There was an interesting tweet I saw where Tony Khan was hugging Martha, and the face he made, it looked like he had just jizzed in his pants, which possibly could have happened. Just have to wait. Yeah, I don't know if they'll do maybe they'll do some sort of, no, I don't even know. I'm not even going there. Not going there. They got title belts. I believe that the word championship was the first time it had been used through the whole tournament. I wonder if that was the plan all along. And apparently the titles for the tournament are modeled after the Stampede Wrestling titles, which is pretty cool. It'll be interesting to see what happens if they put Britt and Cole together on TV. They come out with the belts together. I thought maybe a wrestling couple, the Wrestlings, would have maybe come out. I thought Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae may have made an appearance, but maybe I'll save that for TV this week. Another match that could have just gone by the wayside for me, the 6-person intergender, Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, Paige Van Zandt against Sammy, Frankie, and Tay. That was a TV match. Absolute TV match. Another match that could have went away was Kyle O'Reilly and Darby Allin. I don't know if Darby actually hurt when he did that dive that it looked like he hit his head and then his legs flipped over, and then they did it again on the other side. And then, Kyle O'Reilly with that jumping knee to what looked like the kidney for the pinfall would have been great on TV, not so great in this very long match or pay-per-view event. And the AEW Women's Championship, Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb, for me, it was okay. I would have been all right if it was not on the pay-per-view, but, we can leave it since we got rid of Jade and Anna. The Anarchy in the Arena, holy shit, what was all that? That was insane. I loved the music playing while they were, fighting. And then Jericho pulling the aux cord. I mean, how many times we've been in someone's car and they've had shitty music on and you pulled the aux cord? Jericho did it for the largest crowd. I don't know if you've known. It was the largest crowd in Double or Nothing history, 14,000 people. And I'm sure Tony Schiavone is somewhere saying, hey, tell your friends you can still get in on the action. Anyway, a lot of blood, a lot of violence. The gasoline spot. The Eddie promo during the buy-in was some pretty heavy shit. And if you have not seen it, definitely go check that out, because it was, which then led to the gasoline spot. And I gotta say, Bryan Danielson, man, he looked like badass. I've never considered him looking like a badass, but he looked like a badass. And, the Jericho Appreciation Society coming out in all white, boy band of Jace to emphasize the blood. Then at this point, I believe it was 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, and we did get the AEW Tag Team Championship match. Jurassic Express, Team Taz, and Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Now, I assumed it was time for the Express to lose. JR made a comment at the beginning of commentary about what's Christian Cage's role here? And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, I thought they just gave it away, but that did not happen. Lucha Express retained in a very good ending. And then, of course, we had the AEW World Championship match, Hangman Page in CM Punk. CM Punk wins. A lot of, I don't want to say botches, but a lot of moments where it looked like there was some knee damage, some knee injuries. Every time someone would jump over the top rope, they would land. Hangman did that moonsault off the top to the outside, came up limping. So here we go. We got CM Punk as the heavyweight champion. Is this the beginning of the Summer of Punk 3? Are we going to get a heel turn? He was smiling and crying and very emotional after that win on camera. Was it real? I don't know. Was it part of the show? I don't know. We will find out on Wednesday. So I was actually keeping notes early on until Brian said he couldn't do the podcast. I am curious, though. Brian, Jason Tatum, Celtics, is wearing a Kobe armband. And with the Lakers-Celtics rivalry, how are you feeling about that? I just finished watching Winning Time on HBO with the rookie year, 1980 year for the Lakers, where Magic Johnson was a rookie. I know it's not 100% factual, but man, it was a good series, a very good series. All right, so my notes. MJF, best of the game, no doubt. The Bucks and Hardys was a classic from what I could see when I was talking to my mom on the phone. And Death Triangle and House of Black, they tore the house down. Again, matches that I felt could have made the pay-per-view perfect. MJF Wardlow, Bucks and Hardys, House of Black, Death Triangle, the 2 Owen Hart finals, Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb. That's 6 matches. The Anarchy in the Arena, 7, and 8 would be the heavyweight title match. So an 8-match card over a 3-hour span. even a 3.5 hour span to me is better than one that, in my case, starts at 4:30 with the buy-in. I didn't even talk about that match, and ended at 9:45. It's 5 hours. My wife came into the house, ran to the store, came back, went with the dog, came back, went, took a bath, came back, and the stuff was still going on. Like, she doesn't really follow wrestling, but she's like, this is going on and on and on and on and on. Her reaction for Britt Baker winning the women's Owen Hart tournament was, wow, that's pretty awesome that Britt's makeup stayed on. Maybe I'll have to watch something with her wrestling wise and just tweet her comments. That could be funny. Kind of like that shit my dad says. It was a Twitter account a few years ago, which led to a TV show. I don't know. Okay, so let me know in the comments on social media at thatwrestlepod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you are watching this on YouTube, this is not my normal setup. I'm having some studio construction being done right now, so I had to move out to my other room instead of the main room, which I will be back on Friday. Brian is out, so it'll be me, Joe, and Kevin again. Brett will not be making an appearance. If you have not seen that, go check out our YouTube channel. Just search That Wrestling Podcast. Brett and Kevin talked about the house show they went, WWE Live event in Fort Wayne that they went to. So AEW is in Los Angeles on Wednesday for Dynamite, and in Ontario, California on Friday for a live Rampage, which is cool. I'm debating whether I'm going to go to Dynamite or not, but if I do, when I talk to you guys on Friday, I will tell you all about it. So Double or Nothing is in the books. We are in the potential time for a CM Punk Summer of Punk 3, and check your local listings for that. I am Jason Marchuka. This has been a TWP Extra. It is the Double or Nothing review on That Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to like, rate, share, subscribe, tell your friends. You know, we talked on the past podcast about we're up to 32 subscribers on YouTube, which I know means nothing in the grand scheme of things. But for us, 4 schmucks that don't even know how to run YouTube, we are very excited for all 32 of you. And if you are listening and you are one of those 32, share it with some of your friends, because we definitely want to get to 100 and get to that personalized URL. Have a great night. Have a great day. Have a great morning. Have a great afternoon, wherever you are. And enjoy wrestling. As Brian says, this is That Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks for listening. Follow That WrestlePod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
1, 2, 3, that's it!